Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my greenhouse. My name is Joe. It's August, so we're in the middle of summer here on the Northern Hemisphere, and if you'd like to find out a little bit more about the activities and the plant care that I do during the summer, and also get an overview of what is going on in my collection here in the greenhouse, some of the blooms, some of the magnificent new growth, then stay tuned because this is the video for you. Welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my greenhouse. It is August and we're in the middle of summer here on the Northern Hemisphere. The days are really hot, certainly for Central European standards. I had 36 degrees on the thermometer yesterday, centigrade that is, and the nighttime temperatures basically don't go below 22, 23 centigrade at the moment. So it's perfect cactus and succulent plant growing weather, and a lot of my plants have been showing their magnificent blooms. So that's something I'd like to interweave in this video with just a couple of remarks about what I do during the summer months in terms of cactus and succulent plant care. What are the main activities? What's my main focus? So my main focus during the summer months, of course, because of the high temperatures and the intense, strong sunshine, my main focus is on the well-being of my plants, on protecting them, especially from sunburn, from damage caused by too strong, too long, direct sunlight. A lot of cacti prefer actually a couple of hours of sunshine and a couple of hours of kind of half shade, and they quite like that mixed type of lighting. In addition to the shade netting that I use on the outside of my greenhouse, and on very hot days obviously I cover the entire roof, the outside, and if it's a cloudy day I'll just pull up that shade netting and I'll just provide, you know, the full light to the plants. No need for shade on cloudy, overcast days, of course. The other thing that I do, of course, is keep all the windows and the door to the greenhouse open and provide in that way, you know, a really good ventilation, a very, very good air circulation in the greenhouse. And in addition to that, I also have a number of fans running in the greenhouse, and that really is to always have air movement, because one thing that cacti really also do not appreciate is the combination of heat and standing air, and so they can actually take quite a bit of very high temperatures as long as there's always a little bit of a breeze and there's air movement. That really helps. So something I can really recommend is, you know, just provide a fan or a couple of fans, ventilators that just keep that air movement flowing in the greenhouse or wherever you keep your plants. If they're outside, of course, on the terrace, then, you know, you'll probably have enough air movement to help them out a little bit there already. And you know, there are actually some cactus groups that really need an air movement all the time. Copiapoa, for example, really appreciate a constant, gentle breeze that passes, you know, through the plant collection, and they are particularly sensitive to hot standing air. And that, of course, has a lot to do with their natural habitats where, they grow along coastal areas where there's always a breeze, always a wind coming in. By the way, if you're wondering what I'm holding here, this is a fantastic hybrid that is in bloom this morning here in the greenhouse. It's a Callisto cactus, or Hildevintra as they used to be classified, Hildevintra, and it's a hybrid Moor's Violet, one of my favorites. It's such a beautiful flower. But more about the plants and the flowers you'll see in this video in a moment. This is, of course, also the main growth period of our cacti during the year. And so I provide quite regularly quite a lot of water. Now, you might be surprised to hear that because, a lot of people think that cacti, well, they grow in deserts and, therefore they don't need a lot of water. Well, cacti can survive without a lot of water. They can actually survive for long periods of time without any or hardly any water at all, but they'll be in survival mode. They won't be thriving, and they'll rarely be blooming in that kind of state. They'll be, like I say, in survival mode. You don't want your plant collection to be, totally stressed and in survival mode. You want them to be thriving. And a lot of cacti really thrive with proper watering during the summer months. Now, what I mean with that is not to keep them totally drenched and soaked all the time in wet substrate. No, what I mean is water them, and when we water them, water them properly so that the water really comes out of the drainage holes at the bottom of the pot, and give them a proper soaking, but then allow the substrate to dry off over the next couple of days again, and for the plant to then eventually, after a few days, be standing in dry substrate again. So how you achieve that, of course, is by, first of all, you provide pots with proper drainage. You provide a substrate that is also very well draining to water, so a very gritty, sandy type of cactus substrate is perfect. And the other thing you do, of course, is you water whether you use the soaking method from basically in trays where you fill these with water and you have your pot standing in these trays. That's okay. Some people prefer that. Others, like myself, prefer the just watering from above, and that's actually also, of course, how plants will be receiving their water, their rainwater, in their natural habitats. What people often ask me is what time of the day do you actually water. Well, let me first finish the previous thought, and that is, as I said, when we water properly, and then we allow the substrate to dry off. After it's been dry for a couple of days, that's the time, now in summer at least, to once again be watering. So always allow, that's the real rule of thumb, because I won't tell you water every 4 days or every 8 days or every 12 days. That's nonsense, because that totally depends on the pots you use, the substrate you use, on your climate, not just the larger climate, but also the climate that is like a microclimate where your cacti are actually standing, because there'll be a lot more evaporation in a hot greenhouse than there will be out in the open in the garden, for instance. Now, coming back to when do you water your plants, there's a lot of schools of thought on this. What works for me is I water my plants either early in the morning, but preferably actually late in the day, early evening. The one thing I can say is do not water your plants during midday in the greatest of heat and sunshine. That is absolutely not a good time to be watering your plants. In that case, if you're desperate to water your plants on a hot sunny day, wait until the late afternoon, until the early evening, and water then. Why I prefer the late afternoons or early evenings is that my plants then have time, basically the entire night, to soak up the water through their roots and to also kickstart the photosynthesis, the metabolism that with cacti, unlike most other plants, actually happens during the night. So there is a mechanism ongoing, CAM, the crussulacean acid metabolism it's called. Those of you who are interested, Google it. There is a lot of interesting info on that. But in short, cacti, because they try and preserve, actually they successfully preserve water during the daytime, they shut down their system, if you like, and they have evolved, they have specialized to run their main photosynthesis and metabolism during the nighttime. And so if we're watering them at the end of the day, they'll have all that water ready for all those processes to happen during the night. Now, the only time I would not recommend watering late afternoon, evening is, of course, if you are heading for really bad, cooler overcast weather and you're expecting, you know, temperatures to drop quite a bit, then of course on an evening prior to a weather change like that, I would probably not be watering anymore, because then I'd probably just sit out that cooler period, and as the next warmer weather period starts up again, that's when I'd be watering. Your cacti will easily forgive you if you delay watering by a few days or a week or two even. They will probably not forgive you if you drench them, you keep them in a wet substrate in really cool weather. That of course mainly applies in areas where, you know, you do get very extreme weather changes, and also of course towards the end of summer as you head for the fall, for the autumn. That of course can bring cool periods overnight. Not a good time to be keeping your cacti in wet substrate, in wet pots during a time like that. Now, if you're looking for more details around watering, I have a dedicated video on that topic on my channel. This is what it looks like if you're looking for it in the playlist on the 101 Plant Care. The other important topic this time of the year, of course, is fertilizing. Fertilizing your cacti. And I'm not going to go into all the details here. I will refer you to a video of mine that I put on the channel that focuses entirely on the topic of which fertilizer, when to fertilize, etc., etc. So here is what it looks like. Again, look for it if you are interested. It's in the 101 Cactus Care playlist on my channel. The only thing I'll mention here is try not to use a standard flower or plant fertilizer. They usually have way too high content of nitrogen for cacti. Cacti really prefer low nitrogen type of fertilizers. So I can really recommend just, buy a dedicated cactus fertilizer, and you'll probably be fine with that. Now, during the summer months, not only our plants are thriving, but also a lot of pests, especially mealybugs and similar type of pests, are really busy, and they are during some periods just exploding in numbers. And so something to also always keep your eyes open for during these summer months is do regular sort of inspection runs, looks through your collection, and take a look whether you're actually finding mealybugs. They'll be possibly not just in plain sight on the plants, but they'll be hiding on the rims of pots, sometimes below pots. And the worst type of mealybugs, the root mealybugs, of course, they hide in the substrate on the roots of your plants. But I wouldn't worry too much about those unless you have a plant that is, not growing. It hasn't been growing for a long time, looking kind of sickly. You might want to take it out of its pot, take a look at the roots, and just check whether there are root mealybugs infesting the plant, because they can be causing an awful lot of harm and damage out of plain sight. If, of course, you do find a heavy pest infestation, you might have to use a pesticide. Be very careful about the handling of it. Do it exactly as described by the product. But apart from those main activities, so, regulating the temperature, regulating the sunlight, watering properly, fertilizing occasionally, and checking out for pests. Now, what else is there to do? I would say the main thing during these summer months, apart from those little chores that I just mentioned, is enjoy your plants, enjoy your plant collection, enjoy the blooms, the flowers that are brought forward by your plants, or just simply the wonderful new growth that you might be experiencing from those plants. In short, just have fun with your collection and enjoy these wonderful summer months and this absolutely magnificent period of growth and flowering. So how about a little tour around my collection and a little bit of relaxing music in the background as we take a look at the plants and some of the flowering highlights. Well, how was that for a little treat? I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I always enjoy these summer months with my collection. Now, if you enjoyed, hopefully, this tour and this video, then why not leave me a like? Just click the thumbs up or leave me a comment. And if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, then please go ahead and subscribe. That would be wonderful. And if you are already a subscriber, then of course, a huge and warm thank you from myself to you all. You're a wonderful group of subscribers, a fantastic and very active community. I really enjoy interacting with all of you, and I hope that you also enjoy these videos and the information that you pick up. And with that, I'm going to leave you for today, and I hope to see you very soon again. Until then, stay safe, take care, and as always, of course, happy growing.